Right after the pandemic, we're observing a situation where most of the IT companies are releasing their employees. And I managed to follow several such companies. The process, especially in the outsourcing companies, starts usually by keeping for a couple of months the employees on the so-called bench or having no assignments. And right after this, with announcement, a few of them are being kept while the others are being released. Of course, the whole process is repeated in multiple waves spaced in time. At the same time, the so-called expatriates or the representatives of the outsourcing company are being upscaled in position. And that's an interesting process because this shows that the loyal managers are keeping their privileges or bonuses while the closest to them colleagues are being fired, signifying the importance of having connections in order to stay in one company. So this was, in short, the process of personal reduction. So let's see how, from a perspective of a worker, you can keep your job or how to survive in such adversity. And number one method I would recommend is just to try to leverage GPT bots. Of course, it requires a lot of experimentations with multiple tools. But once you get the speed of them and when and what kind of question you should ask, they can really save percentage of your working hours and provide you with interesting, unique solutions. Another thing you can do is really to reorient yourself into, let's say, machine learning. But of course, that's not for everyone because it requires a lot of learning in order to enter in the field. On the third place, I will recommend to seek a mentor. They can be from within your company or from outside, and how they can help. They can guide you into your projects as well as introducing you to different opportunities within the company. It's very important in such tough times to be kind to the other employees or to your colleagues and to avoid to have fights in between, because this might undermine your position. We all have seen the guy who constantly goes to parties, shows in all kinds of events, and that's really annoying, but actually this is great strategy to be visible and to show your personality in front of the decision makers. Most of the time, you'll be offered to switch to a different department or to switch to different tool, language, or framework. This sounds counterintuitive if you are straightforward and you have your vision profiled into a particular language, but in such times, actually, it's good to agree and to be flexible, to be able to reflect to this opportunity. The next is being able to handle stress well. So basically, you need to demonstrate that you can survive and continue to do your job correctly, no matter of the external distractors. I can give one example where I had a contract with one company at the same time working full-time to another, and I had disagreement with one of the companies, and usually if this was my sole income source, I'll probably have canceled it. But I managed to focus on other tasks, just delaying this process. What I saw was a situation where other contractors literally dismissed themselves, while after a couple of months, the situation improved. So I was able to keep the contract. Last but not least, I would like to discuss that all those strategies listed can backfire and why it's so important to keep balance when applying them in real life situations. For example, you might want to be involved in more strategical planning, while your position might not allow you to give strategical directions, or your experience might be not in this direction. So in these cases, you should refrain from giving too much advice. The other aspect is when striving too hard to build interdepartmental relationships. So in such cases, you might appear that you're neglecting your colleagues or trying to supersede or bypass, let's say, your immediate supervisor, which is a big no-no. And you might be surprised what kind of negative reaction you will receive afterwards, even though this was not intended. And I'll finish with the most obvious one. When you start showcasing your abilities, if it's done too much, this can create a cloud of envy from a lot of different angles. So be careful in this aspect too. I hope that this information will help you to transition for the next phase in your career.